You can share the sound. Hello, good morning, Lai. Good morning, Lai.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lai.
How are you?
Okay.
Alamak.
How's everything this morning? Okay.
All good. Can you hear me clearly?
Yep.
I will leave and call in again, yeah.
Okay.
Rizwan, I'm back.
Okay. I will leave all you to my the good hands of my students. They know what to do already.
Are they all here already?
Yeah, I think they're all here.
Hang on,
2 more minutes and we'll begin.
no worries.
Okay.
Mr. Lai, I see Dr. IDr Joe Chan has entered the room.
Oh, great. I have a problem here. I can't launch my Zoom. You can you see me with the
Yes,
backdrop?
we can see you.
Because you sent another link, right? Is it the same link as the one you sent me earlier? The link you just sent is the same, right? As compared to the PDF file you sent earlier.
Let me check for you.
Lai, I can see you, Lai. Very clear and your sound is very clear. Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. I'm supposed to share from another Zoom. Thanks, Joe. How are you?
All right, it's a wet warning. Wet and cold morning.
I got problem to log in from the other one. See, this is the interesting part, right? This morning test everything okay.
I think because I'm now, that's why you must right now.
Janita, you say something?
I think because I'm screen sharing right now, so you cannot do doing the screen sharing also right now?
No, I can't even log in from my laptop now.
Oh.
You're looking at me via my iPad, but my materials is all in my laptop. You know what? I'm going to shut down and I'll call in again.
Oh.
Sorry for the delay. Leon, you can hear me, right, Leon?
Yes. It's the same link, but there should be no issue there.
Okay. Can I test now sharing my screen?
Okay, sure.
You got my screen? Hang on. Nobody can see outside here, right? Can you screen my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see. Let me just click again. Okay, huh?
Yep.
Okay, great. And you can see my face?
Yes.
Can hear?
Yes.
Oh, good. Let's go.
So good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome our guests and fellow students of Taylor University Final Year Interior Architecture Exhibition Seminar, QRIO EFX. My name is Leon, and we're excited to host this seminar this morning. Today we have two special guests who will offer us insightful words of wisdom and experience regarding interior design and related topics. I hope that you will enjoy this session and listen to our special speakers today. So without further ado, I would like to introduce IDr Lai Siew Hong.
Morning.
IDr Lai Siew Hong. IDr Lai Siew Hong is a co-founder and chief executive designer of Malaysia-based interior design firm Blu Water Studios. IDr Lai Siew Hong graduated from State University, New York, with an associate degree in applied science and interior designs. He returned to Malaysia where he worked in a multidisciplinary design studio specialized in hospitality design. IDr Lai Siew Hong has creating innovative spaces and solutions, crafting meaningful brands and guest experience for all clients over the past 30 years. His passion to create a unique and distinctive design strives from the passion and individualism at the core of each project, bringing their instant recognition while maximizing the customer's experience by blending experience, innovation to create memorable and inspiring experience by architect outstanding environments. Now I would like to play a video provided by Mr. Lai. And let's welcome our guest speakers for the seminar, Lai Siew Hong, to speak on his topic, cross-culture inspiration in interior design.
A very good morning, everyone. Can you see my screen, Leon?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Taylor's University, for inviting me to be one of the keynote speakers for this year's exhibition, QRIO EFX. I'm Lai Siew Hong, founder of Blu Water Studio and currently the president of MIID, Malaysian Institute of Interior Design. Really honored to be here this morning, and I'd like to share with you some ideas regarding the topics that I have this morning, cross-cultural. So culture can be defined as a language and religion, beliefs, customs, values, and that includes arts, music, the food we eat, which is the cuisine, and social habits of a particular group of people and society, or even nationality. And these are passed along from one generations to another or to the next generation. So, crossing culture. In interior design, it's about a concept or an understanding of the history of a particular locations or the social behavior of the people, and also their ethnicity and also their background. And of course, very importantly is their heritage, right? And recognizes the differences in a manner of methods of culture, style, craft, tradition. So as interior designer, it's important. It's very important for us to bridge them and offer them a modern interpretations of luxury and elegance, and offer a cohesive narrative that tells the story with cross-cultural inspirations. So in our studio, we believe in storytelling. So behind every design, there's a story. And through the story, or rather inside the story, there's an inspiration. And with the inspiration, there's also a vision that's very important.
Dr. Lai,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Is it possible if you could share full screen?
Oh, I'm sharing others.
I'm looking at the next slide and the next slide from your part.
Interesting.
Is there a way to share full screen?
Actually,
use slideshow.
Hang on, yeah. Nothing appeared though. Is it better?
Yeah, it's the full screen, yeah.
But my notes are missing now.
What?
Hang on, yeah. Can I stop screen again? I'll stop sharing and see how it goes.
Are your notes still there?
No, my notes are not there.
What apps are you using?
Let me try this again. I can't see my notes too. Shall I start again? Can you turn off the screen and we start again? I mean, I'll start where I stopped. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
So can I talk to you separately? So we can set this up?
Yeah. I'll WhatsApp you.
No, I mean, we stop sharing screen with everyone and I'll talk to you here. Is that possible?
Give me a second. I have a copy of your slide. Is that possible?
I didn't send you the slide. When did I send you the slide? The slide, I even updated all my slides this morning.
The video. It was the video. I apologize.
Yeah, I didn't send you any slide. So earlier you asked me to click on the other button, right? And I can't see my notes.
Is it oh, you want to have your notes back? I think you can press escape if that works.
Hang on.
There's a button.
Yeah.
Still doesn't work.
Okay. All right. And right now I'm out. Let me see my slide. Hang on, yeah.
Is it more convenient if you
Hang
send me?
Just 1 second. Interesting. This morning when we test was okay, right?
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, just 1 second. So what do you see now? Leon?
You haven't shared your screen. I'm still viewing your.
Okay. Hang on.
Would it provide convenience if oh, okay.
Let's see how it goes. You can still see my notes, right?
Yes.
Interesting. My screen, everything just gone haywire a bit. Okay, no worries. Let me go here. Stop sharing. Okay,
Perfect.
you're good?
It's perfect. Like,
Okay, thanks, Joe.
You still see
And yeah, I'm cool with this.
Okay.
So I guess yeah, maybe I'll just move on to the next slide. Okay, we're just talking about earlier about how we develop a design, right? So, so we aspire to craft the story by build on your inspiration and share the vision. So, just want to share a bit on this these notes here. Cultural values can impact the design by giving different experiences of spaces. So the overall dimension and proportion are important from different culture to different city or different country. And they share the similar values. Example, a resort lobby from Japan to Malaysia to China. They are all the same, but yet different in how the local influence the space and proportion. So there are two different on the screens here. What I'm showing is we did a resort in Desaru, which is a hard rock resort, and on the right is in Huizhou, which is also a seaside resort. If you just look at the proportion of the lobby, which has a similar rooms and F&B, the proportion of the space in China are very different. Now, if I were to put it into a Malaysia context, what we're going to build in China, to a Malaysian client, they will see this as a waste of space. But in China, to them, this is grand, this is luxury. So luxury doesn't mean you got to apply a lot of, elements or design or finishes on top of it. But in terms of the spatial wise, it gives you that grandness, it gives you that luxury of space. So just for a simple comparison of between the two countries or the two different culture, there is a lot of differences in between us. And of course, right now we are working on a resort in Niseko, Japan, and Hokkaido. And the lobby space, of course, is less rooms, right? The lobby space is half of what we built in Malaysia. As in the diagram I've shown you under the resort that we've done in Johor. So it's half of it. So in terms of Japan, Malaysia, and China, the scales are different. It's all influenced by, part of it was influenced by the culture. So it's different in that sense. I would like to share a few slides here, some stories how where we kind of borrow the culture. In this case, this project-wise, this is inspired by a tale that we borrowed from a Chinese tale and also a Japanese tale. Reason why we do this is we're designing a restaurant, or rather in this space we have two restaurants in one space. So it's a Japanese and a Chinese restaurant. And we found a similar story, a similar tale between the Chinese and the Japanese, which is The Princess and the Cowherd. I believe you guys are familiar with this. In Chinese is 牛郎织女. So it's about a love story or a tale between heaven and earth. So when we started this project, we were inspired by this tale and how we can reinterpret this tale, or rather inspire us through our journey of this design. So what we found between these two, we found a lot of similar elements. The left is Chinese, the right circle here is Japanese. So there's a lot of similar elements from this story. So we found one part which is the most interesting was, of course, the love knots, or the loves weaving, as you have seen here from this diagram. And we have reinterpreted them into a contemporary crystal screens It's a slight different variation, different pattern, different way of weaving. And of course, we then connect it to our spaces. So the love knots are basically the main feature of this whole design inspiration. And of course, between heaven and earth, later you will see the spaces are sort of cut into two, where the heaven is a lot more brighter area, and where the earth is a lot more, more darker, earthy tone and so forth. So this is the visual you see here is the main reception lobby, where we have this Chinese knots on the wall. So as we enter to this space, we're from the from the earth side. So you see all the brown tones from the wall down to the floor. And as we enter into the restaurant, you see this bright with this cloud features on the ceiling. So this represents the heaven and the earth, and using the knots to tie both restaurants together. So on the Japanese, which is Ina, we introduced the Japanese knots screens right behind the maitre d'. So if you've seen through, the look and feel are very similar, very identical, except the screens that greets the guests. We even tie in the overall story, curating the artwork with the art consultant based in Hong Kong. For the left is a Chinese restaurant, and the right is in the Japanese restaurant, but both tell the same story. We use birds and flower here to represent the romantic story that we want to share. Moving forward, this is a French-Italian restaurant in Kuala Lumpur, in a hotel called Sofitel. And the story here that we would like to share is are inspired from Francis Scott Fitzgerald, who is a novelist. He writes a lot of short story. So, most of his short stories is about the French Riviera, which is where we kind of carved our inspiration from. It's a town called Nizza, which is up north of Italy at the border between French and Italy. So this restaurant essentially is it's a French-Italian restaurant. So it's a modern cuisine. So we kind of take lots of inspiration from Nizza, which is the space or this town in between French and Italy. And of course, Francis Scott Fitzgerald did a lot of writing there, and we borrowed one of his short story that take us to our design. And of course, the fashion icon Jean-Paul Gaultier, very famous French fashion designer, have also sort of inspired in a certain way how we create this narrative. So narrative for this restaurant is Très Chic Riviera. And we even take inspiration from the posters. So if you look at in 1930s, that's where we kind of inspire from that particular period and time. And we develop a similar sort of poster in our restaurants. So main entrance, that's the dining space. The dining hall, as I mentioned, the posters becomes part of our ceiling design, which carry all the short stories and painting of posters on our ceiling. So that sort of connect the whole space together. And of course, taking that arches that you see in the French Riviera, which is all the classical arches, we kind of stylize it and oversize arches that frames the show kitchen with a tint of salmon tone color glass. And of course, being in the French Riviera, it's a pristine water. So the blue color was essentially inspired by the beautiful Riviera of Niza. And again, continue with that. How do we take the local culture and how do we bring it forward, or how do we modernize it? In this visual, or in this picture, you will see at the end wall, we have this arch mirror. And next to it are all the wainscoting. If you look into it clearly, you can see the wainscoting kind of disappeared. We like to call this the ghost wainscoting, that it was there before and now we're trying to trace back what was then and what's going to happen. So it's kind of like that ghost feeling that we wanted to create, not because we wanted to scare the guests, but it's because we wanted to create a dialogue between the guests and our space. And the French Riviera, which is a coastal space with a lot of beautiful beaches, and at the beaches you will have a lot of umbrella. So the outdoor umbrella inspired us to create this outdoor bar structure, which is this big oversized umbrella look-alike canopy next to the swimming pool. Next story here is this is another French restaurant. Is a modern cuisine and is inside Blu Hotel, Kuala Lumpur. So what we have here is the narrative is inspired by art. So if you recall what I mentioned earlier, cross-cultural design or elements that we talked about earlier is through the locations, the religion, heritage, art, music, cuisine. So in this case, we took inspiration from art painted by Henry Rousseau. It's called Le Vive. So in this piece of beautiful painting here, we kind of look into what's so interesting about this piece of art and what this artist is trying to tell us, what kind of story he wanted to share with us. So a few items that we picked up here was about the mystique, the mysterious sort of feel in a tropical jungle, and it's, if you look, there's a snake over there and a tiger peeping from the back, creating this mystique and alluring sort of feel with that fraternity fruits on the tree that shows part of that notes or ideas that he wanted to share in this painting. So with that painting, we look into the current modern versions of elements that we could bring into our space. So we look at the French flair, which is through their very unique sort of fashion. And of course, alluring and mystique, these are the few values that we would like to inject into our interior. This is our mood board. This mood board was specifically selected and curated because we want to create this very mysterious sort of journey into our restaurant. So this restaurant, this is the entrance. The restaurant is called SP by the chef with his name called Sam PA. So the entrance is a very indirect sort of entrance. We want to create this peeping through, very alluring sort of effect before you actually enter to the main dining hall. So as we enter, we have layerings of screens that you see on your left side, and the fertility seats, which is one of the artists have expressed in the painting. The fertility seats becomes part of the object or the crystal that's suspended from, or rather hang in the middle of the space or in the air. And that sort of slowly cascade down on the wall, act as a backdrop of this whole restaurant. And as you notice, the carpet inspired from this tropical jungle pattern. So, and again, the wall on your left, is that, if you remember, the painting has this beautiful naked woman lying on the couch. So this wall on your left depicts that beautiful body of that French lady in the painting. So we kind of took the art in a very abstract way, and how we can reinterpret in our interiors. So taking a French painting into a French restaurant, and again sort of translate it in a total different manner, which is very similar to the food that is created by Chef Sam PA, which is a very modern version of the French cuisine, but based on a very traditional method of preparation, but the presentation is very contemporary. Moving forward, this hotel is about to open within the next 2 weeks. I was told they're opening before Christmas. So it's along Jalan Imbi, and this is a very small hotel managed by Fraser's Group. So it is not a service apartment and is not a hotel. So it's a service apartment hotel, which we, in the hotel guest rooms, you will have a kitchenette inside the guest room. So it's sort of like in between a hotel and a service apartment sort of offering. And Jalan Imbi, it's very, very close to Bukit Bintang. And Bukit Bintang in 40, 50 years ago, which I believe now has totally transformed. Most of the buildings there, the iconic building, they're all been torn down. And through our research, so we found a lot of very interesting elements that we wanted to bring back into our interior. And of course, I used to live very close to Bukit Bintang, and it's a place where I go for movies. It's a place where I hang out at the fun fair. And lots of things is the place to be when you want to have a bit of an entertainment. So our narrative here is familiar place, unfamiliar past. So it's trying to bring back the vibrant entertainment that used to have in Bukit Bintang. So I've not shown this picture to anyone. You guys are the first seeing this picture, which was just taken about 2 weeks ago. So on the left and the right, it's the same space, but taken from different angle. We want to create this theater, this cinema effect, and of course, not all the new cinema that you have seen here. But the old cinema, some of you recall, before you enter to the cinema hall, you have to go through this veil of curtain, which is act as a bit of a soundproofing, but it's also a barrier of that overspill of light into the theater. So the walls, this veneer wall, the layering sort of depicts that curtain, that layering, that curve feature around what we see inside the cinema. And that same inspiration that takes us through the whole project, that also inspires on the guest or the concierge counter on the ground floor. So this is actually not the reception area. This is only the entrance lobby. The lobby is up on the top floor. And we have injected a very colorful amber rug that has a bit of that shimmering effect from the traditional neon signs. And there you go, up at the lobby. So as you landed on this lobby reception floor, you kind of exploded to this double volume space. As I mentioned earlier, the volume of space is very, very important for us in most of our projects. So we do our best to influence our client that the space, the volume, it's very important for us so that we could do less with more output. The similar feature that we have on the curtain, the veil as a backdrop. And on your right, throughout all the eclectic mix of very vibrant furniture that juxtaposed with some of the traditional pieces. And of course, the rugs. All the rugs in this hotel is like a piece of art, and it's been carefully curated by our designer in the studio that carry the story of the past. And even some of the rugs that we have is actually a roadmap of Imbi Road or Bukit Bintang and beyond. And talking about cinema, so we have also injected the artwork on the wall. So it's about cinematography, right? So at the time, the only entertainment you have is going for a movie. So we'd like to take and share that journey, that experience of cinematography that inspired all our artwork, whether it's in the lobby or on the headboard, and also part of the rug. If you notice, there is cinema tickets on the rug itself. We have a very small cafe that serves breakfast. So in the cafe, again, we have injected this flickering neon lights and the funfair sort of reminiscence of the past of the funfair and so on. So it has this very energetic feel that was forgotten but celebrated today in the most artistic form. So, and moving forward to the next project. The next project is W Kuala Lumpur. In this hotel, we one of a very strong element about the local culture and heritage element was the layering of this graphic pattern happening in the guest rooms. This modern reinterpretations of a batik that has this layering effect on the headboard. That again juxtaposed with this very interesting lighting, bedside lamp, which is almost like a traditional beads from our tribes, the local tribes. So from modernity, colors, textures, the tone and manner that we have injected that created this element that speak to you is all about the how do we bring the our local culture and heritage injected into this contemporary space. And that even continue into the room signages, the arts and the craft. We talk about the lightings, and also in some form that has influenced the landscaping also. So from a big picture, this is one of a suite. If you notice the whole, not only the headboard, this whole wall is actually a mirror wall with this very traditional batik print inspired, which adds a lot of colors and vibes into the guest room. So so this sort of taking the unique culture and the rich heritage of what we have, this will lead us to creating or crafting a more compelling story of our spaces. Next hotel. This hotel is very close to us. Equatorial has been our client since 1991. Since then, when I returned, I remember this Equatorial was one of our clients, and till today, they became our very good friend, the Lim family. So I mentioned it's very close to us because we have somehow learned and grow together in the hospitality field. So EQ, it's a cultural melting pot. And this hotel, we have clearly demonstrated how we can define modern luxury with melting of all this rich cultural cultures that we have in Malaysia. We are very blessed in where we are of a very diverse sort of religion, and also the race and so on, right? So the reception backdrop, we want to keep it very simple, very clean. So the overall hotel is a modern contemporary hotel, but it has a very rich heritage element injected into it. I will not go through in more details because I've got a video to show you at the end of the presentation later. So back to the reception, it's what we have created here is the embroidery at the backdrop, which is kind of creating this very blur silhouette that is kind of peeping, talking to the customer, where we want to create the guest experience, and taking the traditional songket fabric pattern that has inspired us to create this monogram effect that we have applied on this 4 stories glass tower with layerings effect. And when you're this lobby, you're almost like you are, as you walk, you're almost like feeling you're dancing with this heritage element throughout this whole space. This glass tower is actually a cladding in front of a lift core. Typically in all the high rises, you have this massive concrete lift core. In this case, this lift core take care of 6 lifts, so it's really, really massive, which goes all the way up to 51st floor to the sky bar. So what we wanted to do is we want to make this lift core disappear. And by making it disappear, we kind of take a different note to how could we celebrate our heritage, our culture into this massive volume of structure and make it disappear. So, so the monogram, which was inspired from the songket, the traditional songket fabric, and is kind of laser printed on the glass, on the mirror, and different materials that are being applied. So you have this layering, this movement to kind of create this dynamic of elements that's talking to you, that's kind of attracted to you. And as I mentioned earlier, if you walk around this lift core, you're almost like dancing with this heritage motifs that we have created. And through introducing all the different types of heritage and cultural elements, we again continue the same journey, continue this cultural guest experience, and leads you into this contemporary guest room. We would like to keep the design in the room very minimal, crisp and clean, and of course contemporary. But the major elements, the cultural elements, is this beautiful panel on the wall that that is really like, you know, in your face. So this graphic is actually inspired by a traditional Malaysian jewelry. So from fabrics to jewelry, and to a lot more elements, as we mentioned earlier, is that cultural melting pot, right? So you kind of take all these elements and put into these pots and refresh it and refashion it into this contemporary space. I like this picture a lot because it is really a snapshot of who we are, and bringing back the nostalgic feel of our past by injecting some of the eclectic mix of loose furnishing. And if you notice, we do have one of my favorite rocking horse in the living room. So this is actually our reception lounge. It's an eclectic mix of furniture from rattan to leather, and this rattan woven rocking chair, which talk to the guests. So many times when I go back to the hotel, I notice not only the kids, but even the adults are sort of being mesmerized by this piece of furniture or object. And if you look deep into it, you notice that rich amber color carpet, and does have this layering of heritage element into it. And of course, the same inspiration of the heritage elements we have also injected into the carpet. So it's the same idea that we continue. We do have some other elements, layerings on the wall for this all-day dining. Again, bringing the tropics, lots of green vegetations are brought into our interior. And in this space, we have this PDR, private dining room, which we have designed this feature panel, which we want to celebrate a very traditional games that we used to play. Of course, I believe some of you are still familiar or playing with this. It's called the 5 Stone. So 5 Stone is a game that I grew up with, and again, is how do we introduce some of the traditional elements that we used to enjoy, we used to play, and how can we bring this into our interior and create a conversation piece inside the spaces or the environment that we have crafted. And moving forward, this is still work in progress. It's a small hotel in Penang, about 100 rooms, and is situated within at the fringe of the heritage UNESCO heritage site. But the building is new. It's designed by Indonesian architect, and we are the local interior designer brought in to create that internal spaces. And our narrative here is about traces of eclectic memoirs. So I guess you probably have listened. There's a lot of, in my sharing today, there's a lot of rich elements that we have, moments, nostalgia that we have been through, or I have been through when I was growing up, and through the research that we have done in our studio, we'll kind of dig in even deeper the story that we wanted to tell in this hotel. So the location is, this hotel is in Penang, situated at the junction of Jalan Penang, which is the first road that was built in Penang. That's why it's called Jalan Penang. And the junction is between Jalan Penang and Jalan Agao. So Agao Road is actually a community of Indians, the Indian Muslim where they first landed in Penang. And that's the major community of that. So, and as we dig deeper into our design, dig deeper into the history, we discover adjacent to our building, there used to be a Chinese dispensary. So, and also right opposite our building, there's also a small Japanese shop. So in a nutshell, what we're trying to do is how do we inject some of this element that we found from the Chinese dispensary, from this Japanese lacquer shop, and to this Indian Muslim community, what do we find and how we can bring this back. And of course, there's a building still exists at the moment, which is the cinema, the picture on your right. But at this moment, it has been transformed into a hypermarket, if I'm not mistaken. So with this, we kind of injected all this element from that the Indian culture of the jewelry, the fabrics that they use, which is pelikat, and the silverware, the hammered silverware that you see. And I talk about the Chinese dispensary, the lacquerware, and the cinema on your right. So these are the few elements that we found, and this is the mood that we have reinterpreted into the modern version of it, and how we can bring the past, bring the past back into the space that we wanted to create here. So this is the artist impression. As I mentioned, this is still work in progress. It should complete in mid-2022. It was supposed to finish this year, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic, it's been delayed. So that's the a very intimate space that we have created for the guests check-in. And next to the guest check-in is our living room, which is also attached with a small bar. So we look at this hotel is almost like a small mansion, a hotel that we have learned from designing Edison, and how we can create spaces that is more personalized rather than a huge grand spaces comparing to other typical hotels. Guest room, we would like to keep it very simple, and we were quite fortunate that our owner is a stamp collector. So she has a great collections of stamps that we are going to borrow all her collections and frame it up as part of the artwork. So again, taking some of the interesting part of, besides taking the elements from the neighborhood, we also like to inject a bit more of the owner's sort of personality into the hotel, especially the guest room, because she loves collecting stamps. And of course, the mixed use of different types of furniture and the soft finishing here are inspired by the pelicat fabric. So yeah, I would like to end my presentation here. This is the hotel which I've shared earlier, the Edison George Town, which is a 35 keys guest rooms, and it's situated right inside the UNESCO World Heritage Site in Georgetown, or in Penang. It took us about more than 4 years to develop. First, we will need to get the building back into shape and to be approved by the World Heritage Committee before we can start renovating the space. So there's two sort of process that we need to go through. One is to preserve, and next is how we're going to enhance it. So with the influences of different cultures, and by considering the local tradition, it's very important respecting the local arts and craft, and this will add new dimension to the interior and also create a unique and sustainable design experience. So what you've seen here is we're very careful with whatever we do here. If you recall the black and white picture that we show in the video, it's very different compared to what you see here now. We kind of preserve everything, but we have added on a new layer of painting and colors and wainscoting and furniture and lighting to create this beautiful hotel. So even the doors are all kept. The big moldings that you see next to the doors are has been there for what, 100 years old. Of course, the green panels on your left with the signage, with the lighting, that's new. So this is how we kind of overlaying the new and the old together. Pictures on your right, we maintained the overall design and the structure of the staircase, and it's beautiful. So we have added a small extension at the back, which is the annex block. The annex here, we have curated this kitchen space. If you're familiar with most of the traditional shop lots in Penang, the kitchen is always next to the courtyard, and this is where the family members always get together for breakfast, lunch, tea, and dinner. So we have reinterpreted this, but of course, it's not a normal dining table. It's a high table, which is become co-community spaces, co-working spaces that everyone will meet and greet and chit chat and have their snacks within this kitchen. Guest room, again, keep it very simple. So I believe as an interior designer, we have a very important role to play, and that is bridging the gaps between culture, tradition, and modernity. So I'd like to end with a quote in my journey and my role as an interior designer, and what kind of role we want to play. And this is the quote that constantly remind me, and also reminding my team, my studio, is respect the past and connect the future. So we are the person, we are the main key person to kind of, you know, creating spaces and experience that respect the past and connect that into the future, which is whatever we're going to build. Thank you.
We will have a video of EQ that Mr. Lai has provided for us.
Respect the past, connect the future. I'm Lai Siew Hong, the founder and chief executive designer of Blu Water.
Mr. Lai.
At Blu Water, we're very passionate in crafting purposeful design and innovative solutions through inspirational storytelling. We believe behind every design there is a story. Behind every story, there is an inspiration. And behind every inspiration, there is a vision. With that, we ensure that every vision will lie in the core of the space that we craft with finesse. The vision for the newly revamped and rebranded EQ is a 5-star property that offers residential style luxury with a distinct character of local identity. The hotel has a total of 440 guest rooms and suites, all luxuriously designed with a strong sense of local identity, encompassing the idea of harmonious Malaysia that comprises 3 main cultures and heritage. Adopting the concept of timeless chic heritage, we use polished rose gold patterns inspired by metallic threads of rich textile as well as woven motifs patented from traditional baskets. These elements, essentially inspired by elements of flora and fauna, are reflected in feature walls, screens, hand-tufted rugs in the most elegant ensemble. We explored and reimagined a new way to translate heritage into a space. Cultural motifs are refashioned to embody a vivid sense of discovery within the layers of walls in the hotel. The most attractive design features are the grand spiral staircase and the tower lantern. Spanning a magnitude of 5 stories, the spiral staircase mimics a twirling thread on a songket loom. Stylish songket-inspired prints are also layered with glass surfaces to create a unique silhouette for the tower lantern. The interplay of opacity and luminosity adds charm and romance to the lobby area, injecting the space with a symphony of harmony and the spirit of place. This artistic silhouette reflects the beauty of diverse Malaysia and are delicately used in a controlled and monolithic way, lending a sense of calmness and continuity to the space. The narrative for the rooftop sky dining is fly free like a bird. The concept of these F&B spaces draw an immersive experience of dining near the clouds. Upon arrival at the 250-meter-high Sky 51, guests are greeted by the sense of being in an infinite space. Infinity mirrors and reflective surfaces create the illusion of a boundless space spanning a luminous horizon like a bird about to take flight. At the end of the lobby, a glowing maitre d' invites guests towards it, back against a glass where a lively bar beacons. The outdoor bar counter is crowned with a curved glass staircase and a deck, both finished in a reflective surface, inspired by a champagne glass that mirror the city space around, rendering their forms invisible. In the secluded corner, the garden laden with pot seats fashioned like nest symbolizes the pride of place. Sabayon, the sky dining is enclosed within a triple volume glass box. Elegant curvatures complemented by soft material accentuate the idea of a bird tending to its young. A feather-like sculptural installation flutters through the voluminous space, imitating the birds flying through the clouds. Etoile Bistro. The concept is drawn from the narrative of a traditional market hall where choices are plenty for patrons. Taking inspiration from the act of walking down the street, we want to attract, to inspire, and to engage the guests. The main activities are showcased vividly through strategic plotting of the respective counter, such as coffee stations, sandwich and salad bar, as well as a grab-and-go counter. Sabah-born street artist Kenji Chai upcycled plates into a colourful work of art, reimagined the rebirth of EQ as a phoenix rising from the ashes. The hotel guest room suites is an open floor plan concept that anchor the space, layering the room with a sense of lofty spaciousness connecting the bathroom and living area seamlessly. Bold geometric patterns inspired by traditional Malay songket are translated into the carpet, while feature walls derive from the art of henna. Intricate motifs and metallic highlights embellish the interiors, both soft and hard finishing. The overall room is donned in splashes of dark tones, accentuated with sudden pops of ochre yellow and majestic gold. With an identity rooted in the culture, EQ aims to touch the hearts of visiting guests, with the space rich in contemporary elements informed by heritage.
I would like to thank IDr Mr. Lai for his inspiring presentation. Moving forward, I would like to open the floor for any questions that you would like to ask Mr. Lai. Just to inform you, the first five people who has questions will win a voucher at Yozu Candles. Yozu Candles is a trendy and a trendy new brand of candles, and it's 100% made of hand-poured palm wax plus soil wax scented candles. I have a question for Mr. Lai. Questions. How do you, because you mentioned Scott Fitzgerald. Scott Fitzgerald was a 90s writer where he wrote mostly about the Roaring Twenties and Great Gatsby kind of vibe. And the mixture with the French Riviera are two very different styles. How do you blend it so well into creating a whole different mood? And what's the right way to blend these two elements into creating a whole different mood? My second part of my question is the whole the whole projects that you show it's almost seems like it's art becoming into reality in interior spaces. And art is sometimes very abstract. And with the photo that you showed us, with the bridging yesterday and tomorrow, the favorite picture that you showed us of the horses, and it almost seems like an art that I've seen before, and it's very abstract. And how do you bring it to life where people would acknowledge it and like it? Yeah.
Wow, that's tough questions. How to blend? I think that's your first questions, right? How do we blend the ideas of this French Riviera and together with Fitzgeraldton, that was in 1920. So how do we kind of take it and fast forward to today and tomorrow? We look at our designs and concept. We do not want to copy or to reinterpret things directly. We kind of look at it as a dish, yeah, a beautiful dish that has been prepared by a famous chef. And as you taste, as you eat it, as you taste it, and you're trying to sort of digest and trying to figure out what is this dish is trying to tell you, what kind of flavor that you're going to get out of this dish. And of course, everyone tastes, the taste from everybody is different. So in our case here, there is no specific rules how we applied it, but it's how we kind of, through our research, through our understanding, and through all the brainstorming sessions we have among our team. And in some cases, we are a bit more playful, kind of add this and add that to make it a bit more relevant, to make it a bit more exciting. And it's really to really fast forward our thinking, what's relevant for the future. Because anything we do as a designer, we're building something for the future, right? Everything takes time, as I shared. The Edison Hotel took us, the building is already there, but it took us 4 years to get it materialized. So it takes a long time, is a process. And so the point I'm trying to share here is always look 5 years down the road, look at 10 years down the road. And based on what you saw, what you've learned, what you discover, and how can you sort of develop something that's relevant in 5 or 10 years' time. So this has always been a challenge for us. So we're constantly questioning ourselves. We question a lot. In every project, we question, why are we doing this? And why are we still doing this? And can we do something that we have not explored? Can we explore in a different way so that we have a very different solution at the end of the day? Yeah, I guess that's how we work. So it's still very experimental, whether it's right or wrong, but that's a product that we have developed so far. As in terms of art, yes, art is very important to us. Art it's like a document of the culture, of the history, yeah, and it's very powerful. It's scripted in a very different way. It's not by words, it's by expression. And this expression will give everybody in a very different types of emotion. So yeah, and I just like to expand a bit on this art thingy, right? And I always use this sharing with some of our challenging clients, because a lot of clients like to tell you what to do, right? This is what I want, that's what you want, da-di-da. At the end, we kind of like put together a product 100% to what he showed you or what he's thinking. And we'll always like to share with them, you know, work with us or understand from our side and treat us as an artist. So an artist is how we express ourselves and how we kind of take the brief and we kind of express it in our own way, our own use of technique, colors, and so forth. And I always end with this, that we are not a painter. A painter is, you tell them to paint it yellow, he will paint it yellow color and blue and whatever. So look at us as an artist, where we are designers. We create based on how we feel. We create based on what we learn. We create based on what we discover. Yeah. So I hope I've answered your question, but I guess it's a bit more abstract.
It's very helpful. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have questions? Anyone else?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Who is this?
Hi, I'm Celeste. Hi, Mr. Lai. I have a question because all your projects like inspired by the local culture. So what's your advice for the our fresh graduate? We are not really well versed in the local culture. How do you learn about all these cultures so we can have more on our site, so we can have more input, and so that we can design the space which is really connects with the local culture.
Yeah. Hi, Celeste. Maybe I'll share what I have learned during my studies in New York in FIT. I attended a few classes, history of art, history of architecture, and I guess it's through this classes that I have learned, everything happened for a reason, right? And why that building behaved that way. For example, Le Corbusier, why he designed that particular building that, that behave in that manner. And through art, as I mentioned, art is like a document that kind of collects and record the story or the history at that time. So through those sessions that we have with our professor, and since then I've been paying a lot of attention to the different places that I travel, and understand about their history and their culture, whether it's about their food or their arts or architecture. And bring it forward to where we are right now is about understanding of the history. All these works are through, not from schools anymore, is through our research work. So research is very, very powerful whenever we do. So back in the studio, before we start doing anything, we don't talk about the design. We don't talk about the style that we're going to approach. So we ask ourselves, what do we know about this location? And what do we know about these people? For example, right now we're working on we just finished our design for a resort in Niseko. So we dig deep into that specific location in Niseko and really go deep into it and find out more about what is Niseko right now, but what was Niseko before, and how have they progressed from history up to today. So the interesting part was we do have we need to collaborate with a Japanese architect and a Japanese project manager, and they were quite intrigued with what we are telling them, because they kind of forgot what was Niseko was all about. So we kind of give them a different perspective of, through our research, this is what we found out, and this is how we want to use this local tribes, the local tribes and their art, how this kind of transform into this Japanese resort. Yeah, so to summarize it is research, 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 and research.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have questions, our lecturers or students and our participants? Anyone else? I have a question on your model, modernity. You said cultural and tradition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the three words you use, or was that a fourth one?
Can you repeat again? Modernity, cultural,
and tradition, traditional.
Yeah.
Was that a fourth
one? Not really.
So what is when you blend all these things together, because there's a lot of different definitions of luxury in different cultures. There's a lot of different definition of luxury. How do you pick apart all these definition of luxury and create a new way, a new trend of luxury? Because I've seen different parts of culture have different parts of luxury, and in your work at the part where China, the Chinese luxury and the Japanese luxury have sort of a similar concept, which is their courtyard. They have a similar courtyard, but you design it in a way that is a very different take on luxury. And how do you like create that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to answer what is luxury, right? To me, when we embark on a project, the luxury is when we have a location that are rich in culture, right? That's luxury to you, because you don't need to invent something else. And to me, that's luxury. It's very important that how we can take this rich history or rich culture, and you kind of harness it and take it to another level. So the spaces that I've talked about earlier, the similarity between some nationality and some location, it's also about what is there before and what is the main purpose of all those spaces that was curated, and what was the main purpose, and how we can now revitalize it and brings in new energy into it. And to me, that's luxury, right? It's already a good space that has been given and is there. So that's my take on luxury. In fact, what we are moving forward, what we're trying to do now is we wanted to do less, but in return to have a more significant and powerful impact. You know what I'm saying? It's not about putting things everywhere and trying to tell a story. It's how to be very calm, very tranquil, very composed, and yet you can really connect to the space. Of course, this is a much deeper and higher level that we are now training ourselves, and hopefully in a very soon, very near future, we are able to reach that level. And that, to me, is luxury. Less is more. I think that's Joe's topic, right, Joe?
Yeah, his topic is simple design better. Yeah.
Leon, can I ask a question? Dr. Tan here.
Yeah, boss, buy me a drink lah. What is this?
Wow. Incredible presentation, like as always. And I think my question is, if you could, at this point in time, because you have already reached a certain level in your work and your experience, are you able to define your design in a sentence? Your design direction?
Still in progress, Doc. I guess we have been digging very deeply, who we are. Our design, as you notice, is pretty much in a lot of different style, Doc. I can't summarize everything within 10 words.
But we can, in your presentation just now, we can start to see some direction very, very clearly in your work. And it's
maybe you can help me to summarize that.
No, I think you have to define it yourself. But
yes,
but I can see that you have reached a point where your body of work and your level of influence in the industry, you have reached that point now. Yeah. So I was just wondering whether you have actually been able to define the work of your practice. Yeah.
Work in progress, I have not, Doc, but we kind of see ourselves as the person that we're there to connect the dots. I would like to see it that way. Connecting the dot as in connecting the two dots, right? The past and the future. How do we link this journey? And yes, I haven't got haven't got it summarized yet, though.
Okay, yeah, it's a
good question. Yes, work in progress.
Yeah, and maybe a second question. As president of MIID, is there such a thing as Malaysian design? Or are we in an age where everything is international or even metaverse?
I think we're still in the progress. In interior design wise, we have not really carved out who we are. Yes, we have a lot of currently we have a lot of influences from abroad, internationally. But I'm seeing, there's some smaller practices kind of have started a very interesting journey. But I still can't call them a Malaysia design, whether it's a Malaysia architecture or Malaysia interior design yet, as compared to our neighbors. So, and this is where we have sort of compiled all the projects from MIID for the last 10 years and put together a book, which will be ready in the middle of January. And with this book, we hope to create the awareness of compilation of all the creativity that was done for the last 10 years. And hopefully with this book, we will continue to explore and to discover who we are moving forward.
Excellent, thanks.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
We'll be moving on to the last question by Azhar. Good afternoon, IDr Lai Siew Hong. I wanted to ask, in your design, what principles of interior design do you emphasize on the most, or are the most important, or are all the principles equally important?
Purpose. So one word, purpose. So anything we do, there must be a purpose, right? We don't design anything for selfish reason or for or this is what we like to do. So the principle has been, when we design, say a resort in Niseko, what's the main purpose, and how will our interior support that vision and support the purpose? I think that's very key. That's my first questions to our client. In fact, most of the project. Why are we on board? What is the purpose of your project, and how do you see us coming into working with you and collaborate with the rest of the creative team? What do you want to see in us, or rather the output you want to get out of it? So it's, as designer, I think it's always, we got to be very careful, right? Because we are the person who tear things down, tear an old interior spaces and turn it into something else, and we add more things. So I guess now we are all talking about what is sustainable and what is green and so forth. So to me, sustainability and green is not about applying material that is green, but it's really look at what is our purpose of this project, and what do we need to do? Do we need to turn this whole building upside down, or do we need to add a component to it, or we're there to bring that energy or to revitalize it without doing a lot? I guess that the best example that I have shown here today was the Edison. So that was a purpose, right? There was a purpose of this old building that is not bringing values to the community. And our client wanted to have this very small, intimate hotel to serve the guests, and at the same time celebrate the local Penang culture. And he chose this building because of that purpose. He wanted to celebrate that. So we are there to sort of work with him to reach the, or to reach his his vision of what he envisaged this building supposed to be. If you have a chance to this building, all the floors are existing. Different rooms have different floor because it was renovated, it was upgraded at different time. Some rooms have broken marble, some rooms have mosaic, some room has some timber floor because the timber floor was there before. So what we did was we kind of kept everything there, but give a new layer of finishing on top. And that's how we serve the purpose. So the building wasn't designed by us, the floor wasn't selected by us, but our main aim is to really keep the original soul of the building and how we can, celebrate them. So what's the principle in design do I emphasize? It's less is more, like, I guess that's what we always believe in.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I hope that answered your question, but
yes, it does. It does. Thank you.
We are at the end of our seminar. We would like to thank you again, IDr Lai, Mr. Lai, for coming here today and joining us and giving us such a enlightenment speech on your take on design. And I would like to close this seminar with a selfie. If everyone would open up their cameras so we can have a selfie together with Mr. Lai. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay, so everybody get ready. So 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Thank you so much for all the attendees today, and thank you so much, Ms. Lai, again for coming here today and giving us a special talk series about design.
You're most welcome, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you so much. Well, can everybody open up their mics and say thank you to Mr. Lai?
Hey, thank you, Dato.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. It was a good morning for everyone. So I'll see you guys around, and 2 o'clock is Doc's turn, right?
Dr. Tan's turn. We'll be having our second seminar at 2 o'clock, start of 2 o'clock. You're welcome to join, Mr.
Yes,
Lai.
I'll be around.
Okay. I'll send you the link again, just to, it will be the same link, yes.
Okay, all right, thanks.
All right, thanks.
Bye. Bye, Rizwan.
Bye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Lai.
Thank you, Ramzi.
I'll end this session now.